Hi, and welcome back to the Attorney Cheat Code Podcast, where we will give you the tools necessary to fast track your way to law firm ownership to ultimately create the life of your dreams. My name is Alicia Jones, and I'm a Texas-based attorney. And after more than a decade of practice and nearly 20 years in the industry, I have gotten burned and I've learned. So I'm going to give you tools necessary to hopefully keep you from getting burned. So before we get started, I want to make sure that you are following the Attorney Cheat Code Podcast and that you are subscribed to our channel so that you can get notifications of future episodes. And of course, if this has been helpful to you and you feel like it would help someone else, please share and like. So today we're going to talk about the lie. They lied to me, they lied to you, and they're still lying. Law firms and law schools are lying. So does this sound familiar? Get a job, work hard, work your way up in the company, and you'll be successful. Or what about 60, 70 hours a week? Oh, that's a normal thing for an associate to do. Those are normal hours. That's what you can expect. Or make moot court or get on law review and you'll be guaranteed a job when you get out. Sound familiar? So I was told the same lie. And it's not just our law schools that are lying to us, it's the industry. It is television. When we look at shows and we have our Jessica Pearson type of show, then it's showing this humongous law firm and it's showing how you can ultimately go to a good school, hopefully, and hopefully everyone is going to a school that they believe in, I should say. So you go to a school and you come out and then there's a job waiting for you, or you're so good at what you do and you must be the only one, so you're going to get that job. And then you're going to automatically know how to practice law. And that is absolutely not correct. Law schools teach us theory. They teach us how to argue. They teach us how to read the law, how to question the law. And of course, again, if you have been on mock trial teams or moot court teams, then you know how to argue and prepare briefs. If you are on law review, then you know how to research and you know how to write well. But what if that's not the area that you want to go into? What if appellate practice is not for you, which is where you would do a lot of the brief writing or some type of civil litigation work where you may do a lot more brief writing. But what if that's not the area that you want to go into? Law school is the equivalent of going to piano practice and knowing the keys, knowing that there's some white, there's some black, knowing how they function, how they work together, knowing how your hands should be placed, knowing how to read music and understand what each note and symbol and everything means, but never putting your hands on the keys to practice until you graduate. So that's what law school does for us. They teach us the keys, the colors, the theory, how to read it, but you don't practice. You don't put your hands on the keys to learn Miss Mary Mac or any other song until you are out in practice, until you have graduated, until you have a bar card. And maybe you have a third-year bar card and you're learning like that. But most people, they don't learn until they have graduated, taken the bar, and now you're out in the field. You're fighting for jobs. You're up against other attorneys that have been in practice for some years, because that's just what the industry is at this point. So you're looking for an entry-level job, but so is that 5-year, that 7-year attorney. They're looking for that same job because it's so competitive. And you are coming out with stars in your eyes, hoping to just have an opportunity to learn how to play the piano, right? To learn how to practice law. So unfortunately, the lie that we're fed in law school does not prepare us for once we have a bar card in hand. So I want to talk about that lie. I want to really dispel the myth that the path to greatness or the path to being a successful attorney is to work for a big firm, because that's not for all of us. And if you're here, it's not for you. It means that you want to have your own firm. And I believe in you, and I believe that you can do it. So for me, when I was in law school, I remember learning, for instance, about a Rule 11 agreement. I understood how to draft it, how to write it, and how to put things together and how it was binding or what type of binding it had and how to file it with the court and what that meant. And just in case your state doesn't have a Rule 11 agreement, a Rule 11 agreement is typically just an agreement, kind of an informal agreement between attorneys. So oftentimes you'll say, let's come into a Rule 11 agreement to push our discovery request for a week or so. So instead of them being due by operation of law, instead of them being due on this Friday, we'll push it out 10 days. So we'll put it in writing, a little contract between the two of us. We'll put it in writing and we'll follow with the court to let the court know that this is our agreement, right? So I learned about this Rule 11 agreement. And when I got into practice, it was foreign to me. Like I looked at this document and I'm like, this is a Rule 11 agreement? Like I knew what went into the agreement, but how do I get to this place? How do I negotiate with the other side to come to a Rule 11 agreement? What do I need to include in here to make sure that this agreement that we've come to is actually going to be binding and that I can submit that to the court and that I'm actually negotiating in the way that is helping my client? Again, learning the parts of the piano, but not actually playing it until you're out here in the field. So I want to give you some statistics to consider. Just in case you're thinking, oh, there's plenty of jobs, I'll just come in here, I'll get a job. Or if you're already licensed and you're thinking, oh, I'll just make a lateral move. Maybe that's simple for you, but let's talk about what the American Bar Association is saying. They reported that as of January 1st, 2024, there were 1.3 million attorneys in the United States of America. Let that sit in. 1.3 million attorneys. And then if we go to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it reported that in 2023, there are about 35,600 job openings for lawyers each year. Now, I'm no mathematician. I don't profess to be one, but I can tell from these numbers that out of 1.3 million attorneys, if there are job openings for only 35,000 of those, and if we just round that up because it's 35,600, let's say there's 36,000 job openings each year, but there are 1.3 million attorneys already in 2024, and we know that there are bar passers twice a year. So now you have thousands upon thousands of more attorneys that are being licensed. And now the field is being saturated with licensed attorneys. But where do you get your job? So that's why we are here. We're going to fast track your way to law firm ownership. We're going to give you some tools so that you can avoid the hustle and the bustle and the fight and make sure that for you, you're creating the life of your dreams. Let's say you thought about being an associate at a firm. Let's see what the statistics say about that. According to AboveTheLaw.com, 60% of associates say that it took them 5 to 10 years to increase in their actual position so that they can attain a level of any type of partnership. Because of course, if you're going to be an associate, you don't want to be a lifelong associate. That's like being a lifelong girlfriend. That's not everybody's dream. I hope that's no one's dream, but that's not everybody's dream to be a lifelong associate and to be stuck at a certain place and never being able to increase or go higher, right? So when we're looking and we're thinking about, okay, well, I'll come in and I'll get some experience and I'll be an associate and before I know it, I'm a partner. Well, 60% said it took them 5 to 10 years. 10 years is a decade. Are you willing to give up a decade of your life in hopes that that particular firm will fit for you and that they will make you partner, or that in 10 years you even want to be partner? How many hours would you have given up in that time to build another person's dream? Because that law firm is the dream of those partners. So how much time are you willing to give of your life to build someone else's dream? 31% reported that it took them 11 to 15 years to reach partnership status. That's a decade and a half. 15 years of your life, you've traded in this time, you've traded in these skills. And I'm not saying that you haven't learned, because surely, hopefully, prayerfully, you have learned something that is useful, a tool that you can take with you. You're a better advocate. You know how to handle consultations. You know how to write briefs better, whatever it is. I am hoping that during that time, that 11 to 15 years, that you've learned those things. And again, are you willing to trade in 11 to 15 years of your life in hopes that at 15 years, that law firm will see and appreciate you in the way that you want to be appreciated and make you a partner? Even if you get to partnership level at the 5, 10, 11, 15 years, did you know that 64% of those people, those associates, stated that they were non-equity partners? Non-equity, meaning that you receive no equity in the firm, that you do not have a financial stake in the firm. You are a partner by title. You have the title and some more responsibility, and I'm sure an increase in pay, maybe your bonus is bigger, but when it comes to the profits of the firm, you don't share in that. 64% of associates reported that that at the point that they received partnership level, they were non-equity partners. Reuters.com stated that the trend is only going upward, and it's actually taking associates longer to achieve partnership status. From 2012 to 2022, so that 10-year gap, Reuters studied 1,000 firms, and the study showed that it was a 130% increase in the amount of days that were necessary for an associate to work to attain partnership status. So that means that the associates were working 3,185 days to attain partnership status. And again, those that attain partnership status, 64% of them stated that they were non-equity partners. So yes, increase in duties, increase in pay, of course, maybe even a signing bonus or a welcome to the team bonus or increase in bonus, whatever, a bigger office with a window, whatever, to make you feel a little bit more valued. And at the same time, you're a non-equity partner. So let's think about if it is a personal injury firm and they hit the lick, right? They get that $60 million case, and now the firm has this judgment and the firm gets their portion of that. But do you, as a non-equity partner, you've worked on the case, you've put in the time, you've researched, you've been making sure that the client is taken care of. You are at the courthouse to make sure that voir dire went well. You are making sure that trial binders are put together. You're watching the jury and you're helping that lead attorney. You're helping that equity partner attorney make sure the firm looks good. And then at the end of the day, that judgment comes in $600 million, and it goes to and that portion that comes to the firm gets shared by the equity partners, not the named non-equity partners. So consider that. So for me, trading in 10 to 15 years of my life and not having equity in what I've helped to build is non-negotiable for me. That is not something that I'm willing to do. I don't want to, that doesn't lead me down the path of freedom for me and my family. So I want you to really consider that. So when we're thinking about that, when we think about law school and we think about the industry and we think about what we see on TV, it is that. It's go to a school, pass the bar, intern with a judge, and get a good job and stay in that job, and you work until you become partner. But they don't tell you about the 80, 90-hour work weeks. They don't tell you how you're trading in your free time and your freedom for being on call for the firm, for being available because you want to advance. And what's going to make you stick out from the other 10, 15 associates that came in with you is your willingness to work harder, your availability. And I'm hoping that at that point, you don't have responsibilities at home. There's not a spouse or children or older people that you're caring for, that you're able to devote that time. But think about if you don't have that luxury of having no one depending on you for dinner or for school pickup or to pick up their medicine on the way home. Maybe you can devote those hours, and maybe you can, and maybe you want to have a couch in your office so you can go to sleep there and wake up the next day and do it again. But is that the life that you ultimately want to live? Is that the freedom that you were hoping for when you first applied for law school? When you dreamt of the day that you'd have a bar card in hand, did you dream, you know what? It's going to be so nice and cozy to sleep on the floor of my office, or to have a pull-out sofa in my office so that I can take a break and take a nap, a 5-hour nap in the evening, and wake up at 5 in the morning, still there, and work on those cases. And I'll do that for about 10, 15 years. And at that point, the firm will value me. They'll make me a partner, but not an equity partner, because the equity partners are making it harder for associates to become equity partners, because of course, at that point, they're splitting profits. So the parameters and the requirements that it takes to get to that point are a bit more strenuous. And according to Reuters.com, that is intentional by equity partners. They want to make sure that it's not as easy for associates to get to the equity partnership level, because they don't want to share the profits. Let's just be real. Don't fall for the lie. They don't want to share the profits. They want to pay you just enough that you're comfortable and you don't want to leave. You know what that's called? It's called golden handcuffs. That means that you are making such good money, and yeah, you're working, but now you're able to buy the new Jag off the floor. Now you're able to get the shoes or the bag that you want. And then when you do have vacation, you are able to go to a very nice island and really, enjoy and have all of the amenities, while you also have that work phone with you, because you still have to be available, because you're still an associate, right? Because you're still expected to have everything in place. And just in case it's not, we're going to call you about it while you're on vacation. So it's the golden handcuffs. You're so used to the lifestyle that this money, this salary affords you, that you're afraid to release it and to let go. You're afraid to believe in yourself and to believe that you can get there on your own, that you can create your own law firm. I know attorneys that make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, and they're stuck, they're attached to it. It's the golden handcuffs. They are literally handcuffed by the lifestyle that the money affords and the comfortability of that lifestyle. Again, if you are here, you're listening to me, you're watching this video right now, it's because something in you is saying, yes, that's comfortable, but it's still not the freedom that I want. Yes, the lifestyle is nice, but it's still not the freedom that I want. It does not allow me to be present for my kids. It doesn't allow me to care for my aging parents. It doesn't allow me to support my spouse in the way I want to. I want to be there for dinner. I want to go to the soccer games, or my mental health is taking a toll. Maybe I don't have anybody else that is depending on me, and that's fine too. But maybe you're thinking about your own mental wellness, and you're thinking of how stressed you are. Maybe your hair is starting to fall out, your edges, your edges falling out, you're stressed out, you're breaking out, your skin looking a mess. You got good money, but you're having to spend it all on skincare because you're stressed, because the workload, the expectations, the environment, whatever it is not what you imagined when you applied and got into law school. We all have that dream, which is why we are here. We had a dream of being an attorney. What did that look like for you? Go back to that day. Go back in the recess of your mind and think about what that looked like for you. And if what you are experiencing today does not match that, then make a change. Today is the day. Make a change. And let's talk about how to do that. So whether you're currently an employee or whether you are just licensed, and congratulations if you are newly licensed, there are 3 top things that I suggest that you do. These are 3 things that if I were talking to myself coming out and just beginning with the knowledge that I have now, these are 3 things that I would tell myself to do and to focus on to get myself in the place to achieve the freedom that I so desire. The first thing is going to be to focus on your personal brand. The first thing is personal brand. That means you and how you show up to the world. That is your personal brand. Whether you're working for a big firm, a medium firm, a small firm, you are still an associate with your own bar number. You are still an attorney, I should say, with your own bar number. So that means that you have a responsibility for how you show up. Are you on time for court? Are you neatly dressed? Are you respectful to the other side? Are you respectful to the court staff and the judge? Do you come prepared? Does your trial notebook look good? Is it all in place? And again, are you prepared to argue your case? Are you prepared with exhibits? Are you being responsive when it comes to emails and things to the other side? Are you, are you showing up on social media in the way that you would want to? And that's not just Instagram and Facebook, but we all have a LinkedIn profile, or we should. Are you using the opportunity in the platform that you have available on LinkedIn to talk about your area of law? And just in case you're not currently practicing in that area, let's say you're doing oil and gas, but you really want to do legacy planning, start to research that area and post about it. That'll be your brand. People will now associate you with, oh, okay, she's always prepared. When he shows up, he knows what he's talking about. I can tell that he really enjoys this area of law. Regardless if you're doing oil and gas over here, if you really want to do legacy planning and that's what you're making known to the world, people will associate you and your brand with legacy planning. And of course, it's called estate planning in other areas. But that's an opportunity for you to now showcase your knowledge on those platforms. Yes, you can use it for pictures and things if that's what you choose, but let's use these tools, because that's what Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and TikTok, that's what all these social media platforms are. They are tools. So use them to your advantage. You're already on there. Let's say you have 2,500, 5,000 followers, whatever it is, for whatever reason. Now these people are already listening to you. They're already in tune with you. They already anticipate what you're going to say. So now let's talk about something that may actually help them. Maybe it's family law. Maybe it's criminal law. Make that known. I'm not saying at all to breach any type of employment contract. Make sure that whatever you're doing and talking about and representing is not just the firm, though. You know, if you intend to have your own and you intend to run your own successful law firm, start now with creating your own brand around that area of law that you intend to go into, and setting yourself apart from all the other 1.3 million attorneys in the United States. The other thing is what I just touched on, is to study the area. Whatever area you intend to go into, especially if it's a different area that you have a long breadth of knowledge in, you want to study that area. And not just the knowledge of the law of the area, but you want to familiarize yourself and start to network with other attorneys in that area. So again, going from oil and gas to estate planning or legacy planning, you now want to start to associate with some legacy planning attorneys. Maybe go to continuing legal education that is focused on legacy planning, estate planning. Here in Texas, they have the building blocks of wills in the state. So that is for coming into or beginning in this practice area. Start to really dive in and to understand that particular area. The other thing you want to understand is how are other attorneys and firms setting up their fees? Because if we're preparing for our own firm, we want to know how many clients we'll need to achieve our financial goal for the year or for this quarter or whatever the case may be. And depending on the firm that you're in, some firms, some nonprofits, depending on what sector you're in, they will allow you to take cases that are not in direct conflict with the firm. So if you are in oil and gas and you want to come over to legacy planning and estate planning, then maybe you can start to take a few cases here and there. And now we go to number 3, which is to create your timeline, because then you want to set your goal. You want to understand and want to make sure that okay, once I have this amount of cases, because I know that each case will average this amount of money. So if I want to have 25,000 before I walk away from this firm, then how many clients do I need? How many cases do I need to get to that point? And then as I get to that point, now I know what my launch plan is. Now I know what my exit is. You're creating an exit strategy if you're already working. And of course, for our newer attorneys, if you're like, hey, I'm just coming out, I don't even know anybody out here, start to network. Your brand is very important, but start to network and get around other attorneys that are in the field, in the places that you want to be. You want to be around them so that you can learn, so that you can hear about the legislative updates, the trends in the law. How are people operating their firms? What type of case management software are they using? Are there some new technologies and platforms that people are using in that particular industry that are helping to streamline their processes internally? But you won't know that if you're not networking and if you're not making yourself available to these other attorneys. Maybe you want to shadow for a day. so that you can really learn and see how it goes for them. That, you know how many attorneys want to hear from you and would love to allow you to shadow them or to sit down and have lunch with them and really just pour out, especially judges. Judges love to talk, but also attorneys. We love to talk. So for me, when I first started, I wanted to do probate. It was a case that I received. I enjoyed it. And I said, okay, I like this area. Let me start. And one of the first things I did was to seek out other attorneys in the area so that I can understand, how do the judges work certain cases? Or do you have a trial coming up that I can sit in on? Or is it a trial coming up that I can help you on? So now not only am I helping you prepare, and I'm seeing real time, hands on, how to prepare for these cases that I may not even get for myself for another 5 years, because this attorney's been in the area for 25 years. So it's a multi-million-dollar case. Now I'm able as a new attorney to come in and learn how to really prepare for and successfully advocate for my client with a multi-million-dollar case that I probably otherwise would not have had the opportunity to do. Am I introducing myself to judges and saying, hey, I just received my bar card and I want to get on your appointment list, or I would love to have the opportunity just to sit down with you. Judges will do that. Their staff will do that. Other attorneys, we will do that for you. So reach out and make sure that you're studying the area holistically, not just knowing the law, but knowing what the market looks like, knowing how to market yourself and your firm, how to obtain new clients, and making sure that you have other attorneys in the field and in the area, so that when you do have some practice questions that are specific to the area that you desire to be in, you have a network of attorneys to reach out to. So I know that was a lot of information, but I want you to take a moment, and I want you to, if you're not driving and if you can, just close your eyes for just a moment. And I want you to think about that law school, or those law school applications that you filled out, and the hope and the zest and the dreams that were floating around in your head, and how you were just excited just to fill out the application in hopes that someone would give you a chance to go to law school. And then you got in, you worked through it, you had the long nights in the library, you missed maybe some soccer games for your cousins or the kids or whatever, but you got that bar card. You graduated, you studied for the bar, and now you have a bar card in hand. But when you filled out the application, and when you were going through law school and you were learning about the different areas of law, what were you thinking? What did that life look like for you? Did it look like the freedom of being able to walk up to an office with your name in lights? Did it look like having a full staff welcoming and greeting you as soon as you walked in? Did it look like having a virtual law firm so that you could travel the country and still advocate and provide legal services to anyone in your state that wanted it? What did that look like for you? I'm willing to bet that that did not look like 80-hour work weeks, stressed out, hair falling out, and sleeping on the floor of your office. Now is the time. Again, now is the time for you to make the change. There's no better time than now. And make sure that you focus on your brand. What does that look like? What do you want people to associate you and your brand, your name with? And number 2, determine the area that you want to practice in. Study that area. Really know it. Make some acquaintances and network with other attorneys in that area. And last, but of course not least, is to create that timeline of launching. What is your key performance indicator? What is your goal? And once you reach it, what are you going to do? And maybe it's a multi-layer goal. Maybe it's, okay, once I receive 5,000, I'm going to start to build my website, and I'm going to have a social media manager, right? Or maybe it's, you know what, when I get 10,000, I am coming out on my own. I am going to work from my house, and I am going to grind it out. What is that dream of yours? I hope this has been helpful for you today, because law firm ownership is really easier than you think. And I am delighted and I'm honored to give you the tools necessary to fast track your way to law firm ownership. Again, my name is Alicia Jones, And of course, if you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe so that you can get notifications of future episodes, and share with a colleague and leave a comment. Let's start a discussion so that we can dispel the myth that big firm life is the only way to go. Until the next episode.